Hey everyone, and welcome back to Chat Like a Native. You know how it is. Sometimes you want to start a conversation, but you just feel tongue-tied.
Oh, yeah, I know exactly what you mean.
But good news, we've got some simple phrases that can totally boost your confidence and make you a better chat starter.
That's right.
Today, we're going to be diving deep into what we call mini talks.
Yes.
These are those little interactions that can actually make a huge difference in how you connect with people.
Definitely.
And we've got 3 power phrases that can help you get those conversations started with confidence.
Awesome. I'm excited to hear them.
All right, so let's be real. Even seasoned communicators sometimes stumble over small talk.
Oh, for sure. It can be super awkward sometimes.
Totally. And it's totally normal to feel that way.
Absolutely.
So let's jump right in. Our first power phrase is, how's everything going?
Okay, how's everything going? I like that one.
Simple, right? But why is it so effective? What do you think?
Well, for one, it's so simple and versatile. You can use it in practically any situation. And it immediately shifts the focus to the other person.
That's a good point. You're showing them that you're actually interested in them.
Exactly.
I actually used this phrase just the other day. I was at a networking event, and I saw this guy standing by himself.
Oh, yeah.
And I was like, hey, how's everything going? And boom, we start talking.
Nice. See, it works.
It totally does. And it's not just for networking events. You can use it at work, at social gatherings, anywhere, really.
Yeah, like if you're at the grocery store and you see someone you recognize, you can just casually say, how's everything going?
Exactly. It's such an easy way to break the ice.
For sure. And it shows that you're friendly and approachable.
Okay, so our first power phrase is, how's everything going? Let's move on to the second one. What do you think?
Okay, bring it on.
What are your thoughts on that?
What are your thoughts on that?
It's a good one.
So tell me, what makes this phrase so powerful?
Well, it's really all about inviting the other person to actively participate in the conversation.
I see.
It encourages them to share their opinions and ideas. Right.
Which helps the conversation flow more naturally.
That's true.
Yeah.
And it works in both professional and personal contexts, right?
Exactly.
I actually use this one a lot in team meetings.
Yeah.
You know how sometimes you have those people who are a little quieter?
Oh, yeah, definitely.
Well, I like to use, what are your thoughts on that? To kind of draw them out a bit.
That's a great idea. It makes everyone feel included.
And it helps to get a wider range of perspectives.
For sure.
Okay, moving on to our third power phrase. Are you ready for this one?
I'm on the edge of my seat.
That's really interesting. Tell me more.
Oh, I love that one. It shows genuine curiosity.
Exactly. And who doesn't love to talk about something they're passionate about?
Oh, seriously. When someone shows genuine interest in what you have to say, it just makes you feel good.
It totally does. And it encourages the other person to open up and share more.
Right. It's like you're giving them permission to be themselves.
Okay, so tell me more about how to use this phrase effectively.
Well, you can use it in pretty much any situation where you want to learn more about what the other person is saying.
Okay, I'm listening.
Like, let's say you're at a networking event and someone mentions a project they're working on.
Yeah.
Instead of just saying, oh, cool, you can say, that's really interesting. Tell me more.
It shows that you're actually interested in what they're doing.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And it could lead to some really interesting conversations.
You know what? This reminds me of a time when
Tell me.
I was at a conference and I met this woman who was doing some fascinating work.
Cool.
And I was totally captivated by what she was telling me. So I kept saying, that's really interesting. Tell me more.
I bet she was happy to share.
Oh, yeah. We ended up talking for like an hour.
That's awesome. I love it when that happens.
Me too. So we've got, how's everything going? What are your thoughts on that?
Yeah.
Oh, and that's really interesting. Tell me more. But you know what? We've got a bonus phrase for you.
Oh, really? I'm all ears.
This one might surprise you. I'd love your advice on something.
I'd love your advice on something. Wow, that's a good one. I've never thought about using that one before.
Yeah. It's kind of unexpected, right?
It is, but it makes so much sense.
It totally does. So why do you think this phrase is so effective?
Well, I think it's because it puts the other person in a position of authority.
I see.
And it makes them feel valued and respected.
Right. People love to feel like they're helping others.
For sure.
And by asking for their advice, you're showing them that you trust their judgment.
Exactly. And it can really help to build a stronger connection.
So it's like a secret weapon for building relationships.
I like to think of it that way.
And you can use it in all sorts of situations. Like if you're starting a new job, you could ask a more experienced colleague for advice on navigating the company culture.
That's a great example.
Or if you're planning a trip,
Yeah.
you could ask a friend who's been there before for advice on what to see and do.
I love it. It's so simple, yet so effective.
It's all about making the other person feel valued and respected.
Absolutely.
Okay, so we've covered our 3 power phrases and our bonus phrase. What are your thoughts on those so far?
I think they're all fantastic. They're simple to remember and easy to use, and they can really make a big difference in how you connect with people.
You know what? It's amazing how a few well-chosen phrases can totally transform your conversations.
I completely agree. It's like you're giving yourself a superpower.
All right, so that wraps up our deep dive into mini talks for today. What have we learned?
I think the biggest takeaway is that it's not about being the most eloquent or witty person in the room.
Right.
It's about making the other person feel comfortable and valued.
Exactly. And sometimes all it takes is a few simple phrases to make a big difference.
Exactly.
And you know what? I think it's important to remember that building strong connections takes time and effort.
For sure. It's not something that happens overnight.
But by using these power phrases, you can definitely start to build those relationships and make those connections more meaningful.
I completely agree.
Awesome. Well, stay tuned for part 2 of this deep dive, where we'll explore some specific scenarios where you can use these power phrases to really level up your conversational skills.
Can't wait. It's going to be great.
All right, everyone. Thanks for joining us on Chat Like a Native. We'll see you next time.
Bye for now. It's really amazing how just a few simple phrases can totally change how a conversation goes. You know?
It's like you plant a tiny seed and then poof, a beautiful connection blooms.
That's a great way to put it. And the best part is these phrases work everywhere, you know?
Yeah.
At work with your friends at a party. They're like magic.
Speaking of different places, let's imagine we're at a networking event.
Yeah.
You're surrounded by people you don't know. How do we use these phrases to break the ice?
Networking events can be so scary, but don't worry. Remember, how's everything going?
Yeah.
That's your go-to icebreaker. You see someone standing alone looking a bit awkward, you just walk up and say, "Hey, how's everything going? Enjoying the event so far?"
It's like you're saying, hey, I'm friendly, let's chat.
Exactly. And then you just listen to what they say. If they mention something interesting, you can ask more about it.
So how's everything going? It's just the beginning. It opens up so many possibilities.
Totally. And remember, what are your thoughts on that? That one works wonders at networking events too. Let's say you're talking to someone in your field. Instead of just talking about yourself, ask them, what are your thoughts on the latest trends in our industry? I'd love to hear your perspective.
You're showing them you're interested in learning from them, not just talking about yourself.
Right. And you never know, that conversation could lead to something amazing, like a new job or a collaboration.
So many possibilities. Okay, we talked about networking events. What about at work? How can we use these phrases to build better relationships with colleagues?
How's everything going? Is your best friend at work too? You know? It shows your colleagues you care about them as people, not just coworkers. You pass someone's desk and instead of just hi, you say, "How's everything going? How was your weekend?"
It's those small things that show you care.
Exactly. And don't forget about, "I'd love your advice on something."
Oh, that's perfect for work. Imagine you're stuck on a project. You can ask a colleague for advice. You know someone who's an expert.
Exactly. Instead of struggling alone, you say, "Hey, I'd love your advice on something. I'm working on this project and I'm a bit stuck. Could you share some tips?"
You're showing you respect their experience and you're open to learning.
And people love to help. You get great advice and you build a stronger bond with your colleague.
Win-win. Okay, so we've covered networking and work.
Yeah.
What about our personal lives? You know, friends, family.
Yes. This is where those mini talks become super important, for building strong relationships. And guess what? How's everything going is still the star.
Really? I thought that was more of a professional thing.
Not at all. Imagine you're calling a friend you haven't talked to in a while. Instead of jumping into your own updates, you start with, "Hey, how's everything going? What's new with you?"
You're putting the spotlight on them right away.
Exactly. And another great one for personal relationships is, "That's really interesting. Tell me more."
That's my favorite. It's like a secret door to deeper conversations.
Imagine your friend is telling you about something that happened to them. Instead of just saying, "Oh, that's nice," you say, "That's really interesting. Tell me more about it. What happened? How did you feel?"
You're showing you're really listening and you care about what they have to say.
And that makes them feel heard and understood, which is so important in any relationship.
These phrases are amazing. They work in so many other situations. But what about those times when you're talking to someone and it just feels boring? Like you're just exchanging small talk and not really connecting.
The dreaded small talk trap. We've all been there. Don't worry, though. These phrases are here to rescue you.
Okay, I'm all ears. Tell me how. So we've talked about these awesome phrases, but what about, what makes someone a really good conversationalist? besides the words themselves?
That's a great question. I think it's about being genuinely curious, really wanting to hear what the other person has to say.
Yeah, like, tell me more. I want to know everything.
Exactly. And that makes you a better listener, too, which makes people want to open up to you.
And it makes the conversation more fun for everyone.
Yeah.
But being a good conversationalist takes more than just curiosity.
Oh, yeah, for sure. Empathy is super important, too.
Empathy.
Being able to see things from the other person's perspective, even if you don't agree with them.
So it's not just about waiting for your turn to talk.
Nope. It's about really trying to understand where they're coming from.
That makes sense.
Hmm.
But sometimes I feel like I'm doing all the right things,
Hmm.
asking questions, listening.
Mm.
But it's like something's missing.
You know what it could be? It might be your body language.
Body language.
Yeah, think about it. You can say all the right words, but if your body's saying, I'm bored, the other person's going to pick up on that.
Oh, totally. I've definitely been in those conversations where someone's like nodding and saying, uh-huh, but their eyes are glazed over.
Exactly. So make sure you're making eye contact, smiling, nodding. Those little things can make a big difference.
It's about being present in the conversation.
Right. And remember, a good conversation is like a dance, It's about give and take.
I like that. So what else can we do to make our conversations more interesting?
Have you ever thought about being more vulnerable?
Vulnerable. How do you mean?
I mean, being willing to share a little bit more of yourself, your thoughts, your feelings, your experiences.
So it's not about pretending to be perfect?
Nope. It's about being real and authentic.
That can be kind of scary though, right?
It can be, but it can also be incredibly rewarding.
When you let your guard down a bit, it allows the other person to do the same.
Exactly. And that's how you build those deeper connections.
I love that. Sometimes the best conversations aren't even about anything super deep or important.
Right. Sometimes it's just about those little moments of connection, sharing a laugh or a story.
Exactly. Those little moments that make you feel good.
And don't forget to have fun. Conversations should be enjoyable, not a chore.
That's so important. Be yourself, relax, and enjoy the moment.
The more you chat, the easier it gets. So true. So there you have it. We've talked about power phrases, body language, empathy, vulnerability, having fun.
All the ingredients for amazing conversations.
Exactly. And remember, it all starts with taking that first step.
Just start chatting. You'll be surprised at the connections you can make.
Absolutely. So that wraps up our deep dive into mini talks. We've learned so much today.
Thanks for joining us.
And remember, keep practicing those conversational skills. We'll see you next time on Chat Like a Native. Bye, everyone.